Looks like we're live. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Tech Lagniappe General AV class. I like that I have not seen most of you all here. A lot of our other classes are focused towards sort of beginner level, but we get a lot of people who are not beginner level, and they talk a lot. So, welcome. Feel free to talk a lot. You are the people we want to talk a lot. So, like David said, you're consenting to being recorded by being here. We are here for a general AV class. This is what we're going to go over. What is AV? Where is AV? What you need, what you'll see, and a little bit of how to succeed. Parts of AV: audio, video, and lighting. Those top three are the main things you're going to run into. Occasionally, you'll see online streaming type stuff. You'll see scenic and carpentry type stuff, especially on the big sets, and electrical work. Those three are usually going to be a little more specialized. If you want to learn how to do those things, it's a great asset to have. Go find those specialized people when you see them. Audio, you're in charge of microphones, speakers, and audio mixers. It should be pretty self-explanatory. If it makes noise, that's your realm of things. And you're going to have to work with the video people, because if there's capability to have videos, you need to be able to hear the audio that goes along with it. Video, screens like this. This is a video job. Presentations, video rolls, that's what Dave is doing back there. I'm connected to his laptop. Cameras, we're doing a little bit of that. And so you need to work with lighting to make sure that the person on camera looks good. How do I look on camera, Dave? Do I look okay? Show them what I look like. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, thank you. So in breakout rooms, if you are the operator, sometimes you'll need to actually execute videos on a laptop. And then regardless, you just need to work with this audio person. That last note, confirm DI availability if applicable. A DI is a direct injector, I think is direct input. Thank you. And it's basically what allows the laptop or whatever to integrate into our whole sound system so that it comes out of the speaker. Do I have one right here? JC, can you hand me that DI there? This one's already unwrapped. So basically, what you would think of as an aux cable or a headphone jack. Not the right words for them, but that's probably the words you know. And then it turns into the cables that we use for our mixer. All right. XLR is what that's called. We'll go over that. Lighting. They're in charge of lighting the stage, any sort of uplights, atmospheric lights, and then they have to work with video to make sure that the cameras look good. How do the videos look, Dave? Or how the cameras look? It's pretty good? Still pretty good. All right. If we could move to our other little camera here, and JC, if you can focus on this table right here. We're going to go over, let's see how well I can do this. Can you bring me into program over here? Yeah. Yay, okay. So, that is XLR, 3 pins. The other half of it, I thought I had some over here. There's some right here. What am I attached to? Nothing. There's a male and a female side, and there's a correct side that those go on. And trying to explain it is not exactly fun. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Those are the two sides. There's a male side, it's got the pins, and then there's a female side, it's got the holes. The male side is generally carrying signal. So if you want to go to something, you go to it with this male connector. So when my microphone goes into the soundboard, it's going to be connecting with this right here. And then the input on the soundboard is going to look like that. These two go together, as you might imagine. Which means, oh, it's upside down. which means that you can extend these cables just like this. With audio, that is okay up to a certain point. With video, I would not do that. Okay. Other audio cables. You probably won't see this, but this is an RCA cable. All right. If you encounter these, ask for help. Unless it's super obvious what you need to do, sometimes the inputs for these are also red and white. This is called a 1/4-inch cable. This one is just tip and sleeve. If you see right here, there's a little black line. This is the tip. It differentiates this part of the cable from this longer part of the cable. Sometimes you'll see 2 black lines. That is called tip ring sleeve. That'll carry you left and right. This is just going to carry mono, just one signal. This is just so that you know what to call them when you see them. You may not run into all of these, but now you know. The other tip ring sleeve system is the, what is this? 3/8 of an inch? No, well, I'm 1/8 inch. I think it's 3.5 millimeters is technically what it is. It's what you know of as an aux cable or a headphone jack. But this one's got 2 black lines, so it's a tip ring sleeve. You can also find these in just the tip sleeve version. But those are the audio connectors that you're going to need to know. Video connectors you're going to need to know. I have this handy little cable that will show you 2 different things. So, on top here, we have HDMI. Raise your hand if you have not worked with an HDMI cable before. That's what I thought. On the bottom is DisplayPort. You don't see those nearly as often. You see the cables, oddly enough. So if you encounter one of these cables, you need to know that it is probably not the right cable, unless you're connecting to like a small monitor. What's that?
Back away from your camera a little?
Yeah.
It's kind of pull it back to closer to the table. There you go.
All right. So top is HDMI, bottom is DisplayPort. If you see this, don't force it, because you'll break something. That's why we're here, learning this. Okay. Other video cables. Oh, JC, can you toss me that SDI cable? Yep. All right. This is an SDI cable. It is the same on both sides. So the connector for that looks like this. And so as you see ins and outs, there's no male and female. You just got to be smart about it. We'll talk about signal flow. What's the difference between SDI and BNC cable? BNC is not a type of cable. BNC is a type of connector. This is a BNC connector.
What does BNC stand for?
I don't know.
British Naval Connector.
British Naval Connector. It locks. It's very nice. So actually, that's a good point. When I plug this in, I'm not just going to plug it in. I'm also going, are we getting this? Is this clear enough? I'm also going to turn it, because it's got a little channel, and now it doesn't pull out. Whereas if it's not locked, it'll pull out. So SDI cable is modern standard video cable. It will be rated. It'll say something, ideally the words on the side, which you'll see with most commercial AV cabling. This is not what you would consider professional necessarily. Individuals carry this stuff around. I know what it is because I bought it. A lot of cabling will have what it is written on the side of it in very small print. SDI cable will be rated, so it'll be 3G, 6G, 12G, 4.5G. That's basically the amount of data that cable can pump down the line. BNC connectors can be connected to some older cables. There's some audio uses for it. The SDI cable is a 75 ohm impedance cable. You don't really need to know that except to know that it is. The audio use cable is not the same impedance, and so it will not work as effectively. You can also see like actual cables will occasionally have BNC connectors as well. And lighting cables. I thought that David messed up, and he did, because he did not bring his DMX. But we got lucky, and we found a DMX cable here. So if I can find the other end of it, this has 5 pins. Hi. Hey, JC. Can I get it right here?
There we go.
So this has 5 pins. DMX cabling, lighting cable. Also has a male and female pin. I want to say the directionality is reversed from audio, but I'm not a lighting guy, so I won't speak to that.
I got a question about DMXs. Is there such a thing as a three-pronged DMX cable?
Is there such a thing as a 3-pronged DMX cable? Yes. No, it is actually DMX cabling, and it can have 3 pins, and it is not XLR. They are 2 different things. I want to say that in one direction you can use them interchangeably, but not in the other direction. I would suggest just using the right cable for the job. If yes, lighting pins go to the board? Right. Okay, then it's the same as audio, right?
No, it's not really.
Opposite? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, so you're sending signal with the female end.
Right. Well, that's what
Yeah.
that's what it feels
Pins go to the board. Yes. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. This is not how to do that. This is how to make sure you look okay walking into your job on the first day as an AV person. So if we go back to slides, I think I got all your cables. USB cables, everybody's familiar with USB cables, computers, all that stuff. Do we need to wipe that lens? Okay. Where did I put my clicker? Fun stuff. Here it is. Okay. What are we on now? Oh, there we go. Computers. A lot of this online streaming stuff, you're going to use computers. If you don't already feel comfortable using a computer, don't make that your specialty to start. Learn how to use a computer for sure, first and foremost, because in AV, you will be at a big disadvantage if you are not computer literate. PowerPoint especially, Microsoft Word is a little bit important, Excel is great to know, but presentations is the bread and butter. So PowerPoint, Google Slides, Keynote is sometimes used, it's always nice to have. Let's see, what else? Sometimes, if you're setting up a breakout room, which is what we're going to practice doing today, sometimes you're going to have to interact with somebody from a different company who's doing a different AV thing in the room. A lot of times, these people are doing that thing. So do what you can, communicate. Maybe they're going to be really annoying. Maybe they're putting up drape and they're going to stand right in the way of where you need to be. Sometimes you have to have a conversation with like a project manager, like, hey, I can't get anything done right now because there are scenic people in a giant scissor lift directly where I need to run cable. Communicate. You are often going to be one of the best people in the room at communicating, so use it to your advantage to be productive. Some of the folks in the room may not speak English, for example. Some of the scenic folks might not speak English, so you're not going to communicate well with them necessarily if you don't speak their language. You'll have to figure it out. We'll talk more about that too. Places where AV takes place. Convention center is a huge one. They have a ton of work. They hire thousands and thousands of people to do this. Hotels are probably tied with music venues in terms of next most common to use AV. In a corporate sense, hotels are going to be more common. In a concert type sense, music venues are obviously going to be the bulk of that. You will have plenty of music acts at hotels though. You usually won't have corporate events at music venues. Other venues, anybody here in AV and worked at an other venue, something you would consider not a music venue, not a meeting space. Yeah, these ones are fun. Get into them if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing and you trust whoever you're with, go for it. It can be a wild ride. Generators and all sorts of stuff.
Outside patio of the bar.
Yeah. Rain can be a fun contender to deal with. So, what to expect from each? Convention centers. Corporate AV, large scale, it's going to be a lot of big cases. If you're working general AV, you're probably going to be pushing a lot of those cases a long distance. If you're lucky, somebody has already done that. Or setting up lots of breakout rooms. Sometimes you'll be on as like a helper for one of the larger rooms where you'll be running hundreds of feet of cable, for example. This is when the right amount of cable and knowing how to work with it and the right direction of cable really adds up in terms of time, because if you run one cable wrong, that's fine. If you run 10 cables wrong, we've now wasted an hour. So can I get my slides, please? Oh, yeah, okay. What does the convention center not do? They don't do a lot of musical acts. There's usually like one room where they'll do music acts and they'll bring somebody specific in. If somebody says, hey, can I get up on the stage with an instrument, chances are you're going to have to tell them no, but don't say no. Bring it up the chain and let somebody else tell them no. Let's just move to the other one, or the next one. Oh, convention centers and hotels. What's the difference? Anybody wagering any guesses between convention centers and hotels? Okay. The big one is, for me, convention centers tend to operate with a lot of different players, and the hotels is usually fewer people and less decision makers, and you might have to talk to your client about what they want in the room. Convention center, if you are the breakout op for a room for a day, it's already been set up, and all it is sessions, and you're in that room, yeah, you're going to talk directly to the people coming in making the presentations. But if you're setting up the breakout rooms the day before, you're probably not going to talk to the client. Your boss probably doesn't want you to talk to the client. There's lots of, the electricians. The convention center has their own electricians. The hotels should, they often don't, or the electrician is conveniently unavailable. Sorry. And the companies that work in them are different. So Freeman, in New Orleans, Freeman is the big convention company. And in the hotels, Encore is the big convention company. There are a couple others. Pinnacle and Royal are also big hotel companies. And at the convention center, we'll get AV companies from all over the place, big and small. But those are the main players, if you're wondering. And if you're working for somebody, chances are Encore or Freeman or Royal or Pinnacle are involved in some way. So, music venues. These are fast and loose AV situations. People are not afraid of cursing at you. People are going to say something that's not clear, and they expect you to understand it. And if you don't, you're stupid. I'm not kidding. If you can handle that, music venues will be a lot of fun. You don't get to see CeeLo Green working at the convention center, so I'll put it at that. Convention center tends to be a little bit more shirt and tie. The expectations for communication are a lot higher. Hotels, somewhere in between. All three of those, I'm modeling what I would say, and if I could get a camera shot, I'm modeling what I would say is an acceptable outfit for just about any AV stagehand work. I'm not wearing steel toe shoes is the only thing, so this is not ideal for load in and load out. You will see people loading in and out with sneakers on. They are taking the lives of their toes into their own hands. You're also not going to get workers' comp. If your toes get crushed and you can't work and you weren't wearing steel toes and you were on a load in and load out shift, they're not going to cover you. But collared shirts, always great. Load in and out, you don't always have to do that. But I think there's a slide about that. So moving on, other venues, restaurants. I've done restaurants. Sometimes there are festivals. You'll be out in a field. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. That's not the majority of AV events in New Orleans. And most of the people who do those things also do the hotel, convention center, music venue type AV. Okay. Things you should bring to the job. The right clothes. If you are operating a room, if clients are going to be walking around that day, a collar never hurts for gentlemen, for ladies. I think everybody's come into contact with the equivalent of like, yes, you can wear a collar. You could also just wear something nice, professional. Women's professional attire, you got to trust yourself, go with what you think is appropriate, tend toward more conservative if you have any questions, and then look at the people around you in the workplace and sort of match their vibe. If you are operating a room, having a jacket helps. A blazer, not only does it make you look professional, or sweater works too. Those rooms are also very cold a lot of the time. Bringing or wearing layers, I suggest. There are not a lot of spaces that are going to be air conditioned right up until you get into the show, and then every space is going to be air conditioned like it's the Arctic. So if it's cold outside, bring a layer to take off. If it's hot outside, bring a layer to put on. If it's really hot outside, bring an extra set of clothes to change. Yeah. Yeah. Drink water? Oh, yes. Things you should bring to the job. Water. That's not on there. You will not necessarily have easy access to water in the space that you're working in. Usually it's nearby-ish, but you don't want to use your entire 15-minute break going to find water if you can help it. Show up sober. I mean, figure I'd say it. You will go into the workplace and you will see people who don't agree with that. I wouldn't suggest it, certainly not as somebody who's starting in the industry. Having a positive attitude will get you so far. It's easy, especially after you've been doing it for a little while, to be like, oh, great, another person who hasn't organized the 3 things that I need to know. All 3 of them. The only things I need to know. They've known that I've needed to know them for 2 months now. I asked them yesterday. I asked them a week ago. I asked them 2 months ago. They still don't have it? Are you kidding me? Just smile. Yeah. Most of the time you're getting paid by the hour. If you're not getting paid by the hour, you're already doing something right, and you already probably know to just have a positive attitude. Actual core tools. Can I get a camera over here, please? This is where a confidence monitor can help. Crescent wrench. This size is just fine. Anything bigger than this, you're working with riggers. Riggers should have something bigger than this. If you get into rigging, you're going to need a bigger wrench than this. This is also very nice to have. Allen key set. So that's the hex tool. Yes, standard and metric helps. I think I only carry around one, and I can't remember which it is, but it's the one that works with a dual post stand. A dual post stand, looks sort of like this TV stand. Sometimes it has wheels, sometimes it has a base.
Wait, did you say the dual post like the metric or the?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
I'll carry, if I forget, I'll carry around both of them until I hit a dual post stand. I'll be like, it's this one, and I'll throw the other one in my bag again. Yeah, not a bad thing to have both. I love little bags like this because this one's sort of like a stage handbag. It's got electrical tape, a phone charger, label tape, which is awesome. I brought a bunch of label tape. I didn't bring any Sharpies, though. I'm sure we have at least one. We'll practice. Yes, we have backup Sharpies. Dongle, computer dongle. That's because I work with clients. I can offer it to them if I absolutely have to. This is a dongle I would suggest you have as a breakout person if you have an iPhone. This is Lightning to HDMI, so I can test any screen. I can test any HDMI cable with this in my phone. And if my phone pops up on the screen on the other side, that cable's good. Anything between me and the cable, good. The monitor's good. It's a lot of things that I now know for a fact work. Ideally, your boss provides you with a laptop or some sort of machine to test everything with. They don't always. Or they're like, it'll come later. And so you find out 8 hours later that the thing that you put in didn't work. I think that you can just use like the regular old computer dongles. Like just one of these.
Dongle is like a general term for just like a little adapter that you plug into a computer.
Yes, sorry. D-O-N-G-L-E, dongle. Basically anything that plugs into your laptop. There are a lot of converters that people call dongles. That's basically the main function of this is HDMI to USB-C. That's what I use this the most for because a laptop like a MacBook is not going to have HDMI anymore. They're switching over to USB-C. So, yes?
So what's the difference between the red dongle and the white dongle?
The red one on this end is USB-C, and I believe that can plug into Android phones. I don't know if you need a special one specifically for a phone. I'm not sure. But this one I got specifically for my phone because my phone is an iPhone and it doesn't have USB-C.
I think you have to, with the USB-C ones, I think you have to check compatibility.
USB-C, you got to check compatibility. That sounds right. But what this means is with my phone and this in my pocket and nothing else, except for my wrench, I can walk around the convention center and test things and make sure that a lot of stuff is working. Because I can send sound over this too, and if things are hooked up correctly, well, depends. Your phone also, an iPhone to headphone jack works well too. It's another good thing to bring around. All right, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're beyond the time I wanted to use for the whole thing. So let's go back to our slides. We're going to make this available as well. Flashlights and knives are also useful, especially if you're going to be in a general session setting. It can be very dark. Know when to use your knife. Don't pull it out. We got a lot of cables. The worst thing you want to see is a 300-foot cable that cost somebody $150 and it doesn't work anymore because it had a piece of tape on it and you used a knife and cut straight through it. Don't be that guy. Extra credit, Allen key set, label tape. Nice label tape is everywhere, but not always when you need it. So having some is nice. Electrical tape is a good bonus item. And that dongle I showed you. All right. Things you will see. Cables. Lots of cables. Power cables. Hand tools, power tools. Lifts, jacks, carts. You will need to be able to use or tape or hand tools. You will not need to necessarily use power tools. Some people will be getting on lifts. You do not have to get on. If you want to ride along in a lift, that is an appropriate thing to do as a beginner. You should not be driving the lift. If you are afraid of heights, yes, scissor lift, yeah.
You gotta have a harness for a boom.
Yes. If you're ever in a boom lift, you need to be wearing a harness, yes. If you want to say, I don't do well with heights, nobody is going to bother you about that, unless you choose to go into lighting, in which case you can't be bad at heights. It just doesn't work well. Video stuff, there's some stuff that gets really high. Audio stuff, lighting is all up there. Okay, you're going to run into machines like what's sitting on that red case, these gray machines with the screens. They're going to be switchers that have these lights on them. We can here. No? Okay. But anyway, audio mixers. You'll run into that stuff. Be careful with it. Treat it like it's yours. And a lot of it costs a lot of money. Even if they've already made their money back, you're going to get more calls back if the gear is in better shape than if it's not. You will see people not doing the job correctly. That does not mean that that is okay. There are different ways to do the job correctly. Sometimes there are new, good ways that you figure out how to do the job correctly. There are definitely things you see that you know are not correct, and maybe everybody is doing them. Don't. You'll get more calls back if you don't. Dave made some edits on my slide. They're good edits though. Show up on time. At the convention center, it takes a long time to get to where you're actually going. Show up 15 or 20 minutes early. 20 minutes early if you've never been there before. Yeah, if not more. People will be sitting, I promise you, you will not be the first person there. Personal hygiene is important. Sobriety is important. What you're wearing is important. Deeper than just personal hygiene, like shoes. In these spaces, your shoes can start to get funky because of what you're stepping on day after day. Alcohol works really well, rubbing alcohol. If your shoes start to stink, spray them down with rubbing alcohol, stuff like that. Good things to know. You never know until you know. So communication is huge. You can get the job done without communicating. You're not going to move up quickly. You're going to get stuck doing the things that anybody can do if you don't start to demonstrate capacity for communication. And it just helps get the job done easier. Make a plan if there's not already one there. Seek one out. Safety first. If you see something, say something. Freeman does stop, look, listen. Stop somebody else if you ever see them doing something dangerous. Look around you to make sure that your workplace is safe, and listen to somebody if they say that you're doing something unsafe. If you don't know how to do it, ask somebody. Unless you lied to somebody along the way about what you know, they're not going to be offended. If you finessed your way into a situation saying like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at audio, and you don't actually know how to do that particular job, first of all, good luck. Second of all, deception is not going to get you any further in solving a very real problem on the ground day of. So if you don't know and you're the guy that's there, be apologetic, like, I don't know how to do my job.
Own it.
Own it, yeah. Because the sooner they know, if you got to get kicked off the job, you got to get kicked off the job. But if you're getting kicked off the job at the beginning of the day because you signed up for something that was not the right job, oh well, you're probably not going to get paid. Sorry. Maybe you'll get a 5-hour minimum. If your boss puts you in that situation, you should absolutely get paid at least something. If your boss puts you in a position where you're not doing what you signed up to do, and they promised you 8 hours, you should pressure them to say, okay, well then what do you have for me to do for 8 hours then? Because I signed up to do something that I can do, and just because that job's not here anymore doesn't mean, stick up for yourself. Because if somebody's abusing you, they're abusing other people, and yes. I'll get off the high horse about that because we don't have time for that. Client interaction.
That's a whole other class.
Right. Knowing who is in charge is important. That's usually your project manager. If you're doing general AV, large scale for a labor company, there's usually a project manager involved. Ask them anything that you have doubts about. Sometimes there's an audio lead. Go to them first, then the project manager. You're generally, like I said, not going to be talking directly to the clients unless that's in the shift that is being billed to you. In hotels, sometimes you have to talk to the client. As a newbie, if you see that happening, watch. The people who can do that, they're in a position of job security. Not everybody can do that, and if you learn how to do it, it's very valuable. I know people who get callbacks all the time, even though they're not the best with computers, they're not the best with the gear, and they will tell you as much. But they're good with people, and they're good with, I know the answer to this question, you need the answer to a different question. Let's work together instead of, I don't know, I got to go ask my boss. Look, listen, learn. You will need to be able to coil cables well. Coiling cables well is, you don't need to. There are people who've been in this industry 10 years. They don't coil cables well. Everybody else knows. I promise you, everybody else knows. And if they see cables that are coiled poorly and they know they were coiled on site, they will be looking for you. They will be watching. Yes, I've seen people coil cables like this. There's no faster way to get made fun of. You used to be able to get fired for that, for sure. Woo! This stair does not go all the way across the stage. Taping. Taping, well, these are the, let's get, hey JC, can we get a close-up on these? There was a third version, it's over there now. Hi. Yes. So, one of these is very shiny. It's more like duct tape. This is not ideal gaff tape. It'll do the job. You will be expected to work with it. You cannot say no. You got to work with it. This one is not as shiny. This one tends to work better in most climates. You'll see. Everybody should try to tape with both of these at some point today. They come in 2 different sizes. The 3.5 inch, I think it's 3.5, is much more useful. This is good for tacking cables down, which means just putting like a strip there to hold it in place. I try not to use them for much more than that. All right, thank you. Back to slides. Oh, we were at slides. Okay. Balance the needs of the shift, as in the people who are in your room, the for the amount of time that you're going to be there. So if it's a tomorrow problem and we got plenty of work to do, don't worry about the tomorrow problem unless it seems like it's going to save time. Your room, so tomorrow problem for my room, not as important as today problem for other room. And then show conference. So my room is not that important or my room is important. Like somebody either needs to like get me what I need right now, I'm going to bring it up the line, or know how to come up to the person, the gear lead, if you will, and say, hey, don't have this, but obviously we're not doing anything today. Do you want it tested today, or should I just move on? Sometimes the answer is just move on. And now you're a hero because you got out of their hair. Okay. Signal flow, where you're going, where you're coming from, how far it's going to be to get there. So we have a camera back there. We had to figure out more or less how much cabling it was going to take to get from that camera back here to the tech table. And did we measure? No. Usually you're not going to measure. If you get to high-end stuff, sometimes there will be measurements, but it's like hundreds of feet. You just kind of, a thing that you can practice to get good at is just, okay, from here to here, what's that distance? 12. 15, I think 15's a pretty good guess between the tech table and the camera.
Cable distance is different.
Yes, cable distance is different because we're going 6 feet up with this camera over here. We're going 4 feet up over on the table here. And so you just pay attention as you interact with the cables, because sometimes you're going to have to go for a cable and you're going to look a little goofy if it's a 20, 30-foot span and you're grabbing a 100-foot cable. When you start, people will be forgiving of that. The longer you're around, you might get ridiculed a little bit. Can we get slides, please? So signal flow trips a lot of people up. There are a lot of ins and outs. We have this nice little monitor. It's got ins and outs. Can I get a other shot? No?
Not that one.
How about now?
Over here. This camera.
Yeah? Okay. So we have ins and outs. This is an in, this is an out. When it's a monitor, it's pretty simple. So monitor is a good place to start thinking about it. When you plug a computer, or most people have done some sort of gaming console, when you go to your TV and you are looking for a place to plug that HDMI, you're looking for the HDMI in, right? HDMI in number 1 usually, yeah. Input 1, so you're putting the signal into the TV so that it can show up. Where is it coming from? It's coming from an Xbox. Where are you going to plug the HDMI into the Xbox? There's an HDMI out 1. Actually, I think it's usually most things in AV. You're gonna find stuff that has lots and lots of inputs and outputs. That's why we're mentioning this. In and out 1, 2, 3, 4, up all the way up to 20. So your source is a very specific type of thing, and your destination is a very specific type of source. The thing. You go out of your source, HDMI out, for example, of your source, and into your destination. And everything else in between, you just go the opposite of, you just plug into the opposite of what you just plugged in. So if I'm going out of my Xbox, out, the next one needs to be in. So in. Yes. Lighting's a little complicated because it's both. Signal travels both ways, which it does with a lot of cabling, but signal travels both ways in more ways than video and lighting. I mean video and audio, but both. With a video distributor, for example, you're only going out with your signal to your destinations. Now there is one input, and that's your signal from your source. And so this is just a little monitor. Some monitors like this can record as well. But if I take an SDI cable and I go in SDI here, I can come right back out SDI, and it can go somewhere else, and I've still got signal on that cable. Yes, throughput is another term for that. They're converters, and a lot of people get tripped up with converters. We're using the one that we have, and so if you're doing SDI to HDMI, cool. There will be a little box, and it'll have 2 HDMI ports and 2 SDI ports, and it goes both directions. How do you get it to work? Okay, I'm going from a laptop. Let's say I'm going from a laptop, and I want my laptop to go all the way back to the switcher. And I'm going to do that by converting it to SDIs, because SDI can go way further than HDMI. We're not going to get into that today. The little box, my laptop, where am I plugging in the cable? HDMI out. So I get to my little box. I've got an HDMI cord. I just did out. I'm going to go in now. I just did in. I'm going to go out now. And so how am I going out? Well, what does my destination need? SDI. So I'm going to go SDI out. This is something that you may need to hear more than once. That's okay. Signal flow is something that you should not stop asking questions about until you feel really confident about it, because it is everything. If you need to ask somebody, okay, do I put this input or output? Ask them. Sometimes you're in a small enough room that it doesn't matter too much. I don't know what happened there. Can we go to slides, though? I'm so far. I thank you all for hanging in there with me. I should have put like a break slide or something. I meant to be through these in like half an hour. That did not happen. Safety. We're gonna talk to you about taping. You need to tape across doorways. Cables will go across doorways. That's fine. You just need to tape over them. Sometimes you need a ADA or otherwise cable ramp. That's a different thing. We don't have any of those. You'll know it when you see it, and somebody will make sure that you are told. Let's see. Live electrical stuff, don't touch it. You know, if it's there will be a lot of what's called three-phase power. If it doesn't look like a connector that you are used to, don't touch it. There's somebody who should be on site whose job it is to deal with that. Ask questions. Find out about it. Learn about it. Once you feel comfortable, then go ahead. But electricity and trip hazards are going to be your two biggest sort of liability type situations. Those are actually not where the most injuries come. The most injuries come with trips and falls. Well, so it is tripping, but falls especially, so people coming off of ladders as well. And then crushing of fingers. A lot of boxes and stuff, a lot of heavy things. You just got to be careful. So, when you're in a room, ideally somebody gives you the capabilities that you're going to need to have. They're going to tell you, maybe somebody will hand you a wiring diagram, and they'll say everything's on here, and a schedule and all that. Great. You don't have to ask any questions about capability. That almost never happens. Sometimes you'll have just a gear list. Ideally, you'll have at least a gear list. Sometimes you have just a diagram. Diagrams are not quite as important. If we're in a room like this, putting this TV in the front makes the most sense. That is a bigger piano than I expected them to bring in here. That'll be fun. Okay. Anyway, and then if somebody comes up, you have to imagine people are going to come into your room. They're going to give presentations. Why, how, and looking at the gear. If I have a DI, one of those converters for sound, I should probably use it somewhere in the room. So now the question is, where do I use it? Is the presentation going to come from a tech table like over here, like we're doing today? Or are they going to want to come and present at the podium? Or do they want to be able to do both? These are questions that you look better for asking on the front end as opposed to halfway through the day. Halfway through the day, your lead is dealing with other things. These are questions that if they're asked at the beginning of the day, now it's your problem. It's it's the lead's problem. And if you're coming back halfway through the day, it's because they didn't do their job, because you're bothering them. Capability. Thank you. Always ask whether people are going to need to be able to do videos. Some conventions, nope, we don't do videos. Great. Most people will not do that. And figure out who's in charge as well. Sometimes the client will say, I need this, but they're not the client. They're just somebody giving a presentation in this room. And so you give it to them, and now you've started a snowball where now this person got a clicker in this room because you went and found one without telling anybody. Now everybody wants a clicker, and they think it's not fair that only one person got the clicker. You just, especially convention center, that can happen a lot. Just defer to your leads, but get very good at saying, let me check, and if you feel good about it, I think we can do that, but I need to make sure that we have the capability. Always leave room to cover your ass. And know how long you're there, what the expectations are of you. Most of the time, if you're there for a 5-hour shift, either it's starting right when you get there, or it's finishing when you leave. If it's neither of those, you probably want to get a little bit more information. You keep changing it right as we're going to practice this. This is not the first general AV class we're going to have. This is the first general AV class we have had, though, so welcome, and thank you again. If you're going to be in a room for the duration of a convention, you want to figure out when you're starting, when the breaks are going to be, when clients are taking lunch, whether you're going to be expected to work during those times, because that is a very big part of your negotiation with your boss. You should have breaks. Most people will bend to that at the very least. If they don't, they're assholes. Some people will pressure you to not take a break right now, but you got to take a break at some point. So stick up for yourself. There's a balance between not working and working too much. Find somewhere in the middle. Don't be on your phone all the time, but also don't let people work you to death. Okay. So, we talked about this. Beautiful. We're going to save some room. Or some time. What cable do I need? How long is it going to be? Where does it need to go? Which pieces of gear are we using? If you can find gear that is not on the list, that seems like it needs to be on the list, that's a big thing to point out to somebody before you go walk a quarter mile down the convention center and have to call them on the phone, and then hopefully everything is where it needs to be. And nobody has to walk that quarter mile back to get one piece of gear. That does not show up at all on the TV. That's all right. Okay. This is a good flow. Sources, destinations. Everything in between is an intermediary, but you will have, in this case, our source would be a laptop over there. Our destination would be this monitor in terms of the video. In terms of the audio, the source, you could get really my voice.
The source can be a camera.
Yeah. This is a destination, obviously. We're putting different sources to this destination, whether it's the camera or the slides. The speaker is a destination. And whether we're playing music or we're using a microphone, intermediate things, so my voice is a source. This capsule is a source. Theoretically, this capsule is actually converting sound waves to electrical waves. And then this is somewhere in between. It's converting electrical waves to radio frequency waves and sending it to a receiver over there, which is also converting. Then we go to the mixer, we convert, and then we go to the speaker. So hooking all of that up is all about where are we going, where are we coming from. That's why I'm harping on signal flow. Know where you're going, know where you're coming from. Okay, doorways. If the cables are super thick, you might use a ramp. If they're thin or it's one cable, you can probably get away with tape. Are there going to be people, if this is the Americans with Disabilities Act convention, you're probably going to have people in wheelchairs. Tape's not going to cut it. You need cable ramps. You don't just need any cable ramps. You need ADA accessible cable ramps. They're longer. Now you know that. That's a big one. Usually it's not stuff that complicated. Usually it's like, and on the bottom level, you're really not going to be, what's the right word, accountable for these things. You should know them, you are not accountable. Exit signs. Sometimes people want, if you're going to cover an exit sign with a curtain, sometimes they want you to put a glowing sign on the curtain too. But what you can do is not trip people, tape down cables and make them safe, and if you see something, say something. That massive power cable is just sort of sitting here in the middle of a pool of water. Like, that's a problem. Say something. Slack. Okay. Let's pretend that this is any cable, and it needs to go somewhere that is not the floor. It's going to have to go up from the floor. This one's got a knot in it. This is why coiling cables well is important, because this is a waste of time. It's a small waste of time, but many small wastes of time add up. So let's say there's something that I'm going to plug into on the front of this. I'm going to plug it in like this. What I am not going to do is then go pull this cable like this. I'm going to take a little bit of cable, and I'm going to leave it on the floor right there, and I'm going to step on it, and this is going to fall, but pretend it's still plugged in. And I'm going to start moving along like this, and I'm not going to pull that extra slack. The reality is I probably will pull a little tiny bit of it. It's hard not to. But I'm being intentional from the beginning so that we don't end up with a cable that is taped to the floor like this. This is not good for the cable. It's not good for your show. The ease with which that can come out is massive. If my projector is on this table, maybe the client doesn't like it right here. Maybe they'd prefer that it be a foot to the left. If my cable is taped to the ground like this and only comes up to my projector like this, I can't go that way. Just can't. If I take a couple of coils before I start moving that cable anywhere else and I leave it, and now we go off and tape that way, if the projector needs to move a foot that way, we move it a foot that way. Same on the other end. We want to be able to move the switcher. A lot of people will talk to you about pet peeves not leaving slack.
Do you want tape demo?
We will get to the tape demo.
Tacking?
Yes. So tacking it would basically be what I was doing with my foot, but with tape. And that's when you're like pretty sure it's going to go there. Maybe you haven't tested it. Maybe you haven't confirmed. As soon as you put a cable across the doorway, you should probably tack it, at the very least. Okay, slides again. There we go. All right. So, I just talked about all of this on my title slide, didn't I? Okay. Sometimes people want to walk in the audience. Sometimes they want to be able to, so walking around in the audience is not just, can the camera see you? It's, will the mic still work? Is it a wireless mic? I have a wireless mic. If it's only wired mics, and you're going to be in the room maybe asking your lead, like, what if they say they want to be able to walk around? And your lead will say, well, then tell them that they can pick up the microphone and deal with the leash that they're on. Another reason to leave slack. Clients are going to be a lot more amenable to, okay, my mic is wired, I can't move very far, as opposed to you can't move at all. 10 feet of slack means I can move 10 feet. All right. When does it need to be walk-in ready? When is the first break? When are the breaks? Yes. Determining expectations. You want, if there's not a room diagram or a signal diagram, making one is not a bad idea, even if it's on a napkin. If you show somebody a napkin and they say yes, that's now written proof that they agreed that what you're doing is correct. If there's a door on your napkin and then there's a screen on your napkin, nobody can say you didn't put the screen in the right place. You see the door on the diagram, you see the screen on the diagram, that's what I did. I asked, you said yes. And if you're not going to remember something that somebody told you, write it down. Writing things down is your friend. A lot of people in this industry don't write things down, and they do have very good memories. But they're also sometimes sneaky and will make stuff up. It's not because they hate you, it's because they want to look good. Okay. When you are new in AV, ask lots of questions, but your coworkers are not always the right person. Don't lean too much on one person. You can learn a lot from your peers, as long as you don't make yourself the guy that is constantly asking questions and talking. Your project manager, your room lead, should deal with as many questions as you have. They will not always be available, though. They should be, they won't be. Figure out whose expectations really impact the show. This is big. I get frustrated with project managers who make decisions without talking to the clients, because half the time they'll talk to the clients and then they'll tell you to do it over again. It's like, are you serious? Whatever, it happens. If you have the power to talk to the person who actually matters, try to find them. Yeah, and especially if you're not getting paid by the hour, question your project manager. Be like, did you talk to the client about that, or are you guessing? Because if they're guessing and they lie to you, and then you find out later, it feels a lot better than if you just sat on your hands. It's still frustrating. Have a positive attitude. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. Okay, that's my presentation. Thank you so much. Again, takeaways. Thank you. Takeaways, positive attitude and communication. Really, they will take you very far. You can be pretty bad at this, and if you have a positive attitude and you communicate, people will still call you, because a lot of times there's a show that's just so big that we just need more hands. All right, so we are going to have to pivot a little bit, because one of our spaces was going to be right there. We're going to do 2 breakout rooms, basically, and we actually have a good number of people. I was afraid we might have too many people. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. We could probably break into 2 teams. Doesn't matter. Be with your friends. Don't leave anybody alone. Try not to be a team of just brand new people, or if you are, be like, hey, we are all new. But we're going to have one group start in that back corner. And Dave, what do you think? We're going to do this corner now.
Well, the panel's kind of in the way now.
Yeah. Let's shoot. So we're going to have one screen in that corner against the wall that says Jazz Museum Education Center. And we'll have one screen against this wall with that fire alarm on it. And we'll have to move some stuff out of the way, including chairs. But there is a pile of gear in each station. Up front, this is your pile of gear. In the back, your pile of gear is where that red case is with the handle on it. Questions?
The 2 sets of gear for the 2 breakout setups are right here.
Yes, they're on this side of the room. One is right here. One is right there. They're centered around a speaker, pretty much. And so what each one of these rooms should have is a screen and a projector, a microphone and a speaker, a laptop, a mic stand, except instead of a podium, you're just going to have a mic stand. And then, this is a good lesson. Sometimes, center, I'm going to call the house and do that, and it's getting in the way of you. So we'll use this. Yeah, let's do that. So, a few people, a chair. Actually, with this table here, it'll be fine. This will be let's call this an emergency exit. Or what's going to be our this way, or will need to be handled, if you will, made safe. It's going to be open space. Say you're over here. our rooms are going to kind of overlap, but not in places where gear needs to be. Does that make sense? So, done. Uh, also, there is a top clicky bit. Sometimes this is all solid, sometimes not. This saves a little bit of space. It's just got a pin that you push in. Yes, this is for transportation. You can get a little bit. Also needs to be locked into place. Bottom of your
will only fit that top bit.
Had that happen to me a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
I didn't realize I had to pull out on.
that right there will not go onto the black part. It'll only go onto the silver part. Ask for help if you need to lift something. It is not the worst idea to be able to lift a speaker of this size by yourself. You get lots of calls. People like that you can do that. It is not a job requirement, but it is a bonus, so that's all I'm saying. And a healthy way to do that, if you're not super strong, super muscular, super big, is just lifting with your knees to the extent that you can. So you bend your knees, and then try and get it like that. And now, it's a little easier to go. You're going to have to go above your head a lot of the times. This mic is fun. And if you can sort of just, if you can balance somewhere where you can see that hole, that's ideal. Want to be blind? Woo! Yeah. Right? This is not. Cleanliness is safety as well. This is sort of slapped together. None of us get paid. When people are getting paid, it should not look like this. Sometimes it does. Shame on them. The cleaner your workspace, the safer it is. And like, this is not a safe workspace. We're going to deal with it. It'll be fine. It can get a lot worse than this, but to the extent that you can, just keep clean as you go. If I open this case and I'm done with it, don't just leave it open, splayed in the middle of the room. Like, shut it, put it in a corner. Now we're done with that.
If it's empty, you sometimes put the letter E.
Yes.
That will stop error. The E means it's empty. They can push it out of the way.
So yeah. Go ahead and here's some communication. You got it?
I got it.
He's got it. If you're lifting something, use your words. A few.
You want me to drag Dieter for a second station over here?
Nah, I'm not worried about it.
For one?
Yeah. We're all gonna watch and learn each other. Strong desire to do any one of these things, and somebody is using it. We have duplicates of everything.
Is this your audio console in the black case? Or?
No, your audio console is in that
Okay.
orange case. You'll love that.
Where's our pretend cable?
That's a great question. Yeah, let's make our over here with the snacks. Oh. Yeah. Do we want to keep streaming?
And if you want, I don't know if you saw this on screen. Good.
Oh. So somehow it's not in UVC mode anymore. Where is it?
Yeah, I was messing around trying to get through the switch camera so I could sharpen the focus, and
Here
I
it
lost
is.
that camera. So then I started pressing a bunch of buttons trying to figure out how to navigate it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can do. Okay, quick. There's this. Sorry, I stole this. Quick quick thing to point out. When there is a skirt for something, you want cables to be hidden by the skirt. That is the purpose of the skirt. Don't just put the skirt on and then run the cables on the outside of the skirt anyway. All right, thank you, Dave.